Choose your character.
The First Amendment of the United States Constitution protects freedoms such as speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. Video games are and should remain a form of free speech. While there has been speculation over the years about the relationship between video games and violent behavior, cause and effect remain unproven. Video games have the potential to provide entertainment for a huge chunk of the population, teach children coordination and skill, and stimulate creativity.
As children and adolescents continue to develop, there are many things that have the ability to influence their behavior and personality that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. That being said, it's imperative that the exposure these young people have to inappropriate media, including violent video games, is limited. In today's debate, the opposition will prove that violent video games shouldn't be protected by the First Amendment by providing evidence that will prove the correlation and harm that violent video games have on youth's behavior.
According to a psychology professor, Dr. Christopher Ferguson at Texas A&M, most research on violent video games, they rely on measures that assess aggression and that doesn't correlate with real world violence. Some studies are observational and they don't necessarily prove cause and effect.
Well, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, children learn by observing, mimicking, and adopting behaviors. Exposure to aggressive behavior or violence in video games may over time desensitize the youth by numbing them emotionally and causing nightmares, sleep problems, poor school performances, and lead to aggressive behavior as well as bullying.
Well, while this is true, federal crime statistics suggest that serious violent crimes among youth have decreased since 1996, even though video game sales have soared.
Well, according to two psychologists, Dr. Patrick Markey of Villanova University and Dr. Charlotte Markey of Rutgers University, evidence has been presented that some children may become more aggressive as a result of watching and playing violent video games. And a combo of 3 personality traits are most likely to make an individual act and think aggressively after playing video games. These traits include high neuroticism, meaning that you're prone to anger and depression, are highly emotional and easily upset. Another trait is disagreeableness. You're often cold and indifferent to others. And the final trait is low levels of conscientiousness, meaning that you're prone to acting without thinking and fail to deliver on promises and break rules often.
That all may be true, but according to a long-term study published in 2013, playing video games may in fact help children develop problem-solving skills. So strategic video games and even role-playing video games can result in children having better problem-solving skills, and their school grades even increase the following year during the study.
Well, that may be true, but the U.S. Surgeon General performed psychological research studies that found that there is a clear association and link between violent video games and increased aggressive thinking and behavior in youth. So while there can be positive attributes to these video games, ultimately they have led to aggressive traits in young children.
While this may be true, the court case Brown versus EMA in 2011 resulted in the creation of ESRB rating. So this allows parents to better understand what type of content the video game have and what their children will be watching and playing.
In conclusion, the evidence provided during today's debate clearly proves that there is a pipeline between violence in video games and the violent behavior of children and adolescents that play them. This fact presents a clear case as to why violent video games shouldn't be protected under the First Amendment and should be regulated by game manufacturers and parents.
While it is true that there is evidence proving a relationship between video games and violent behavior, the relationship is not concrete cause and effect. The video game industry is a billion-dollar industry that not only has the potential to stimulate young minds, but it also stimulates the United States economy as well. While the arguments made by my opponent were well supported and valid, this does not change the fact that video games are a form of expression that should remain protected by the First Amendment. Thank you so much for watching our debate on whether video games should be protected under the First Amendment. For more information or articles, please check out our WordPress site under the blog post "To Game or Not to Game?" That is the question, or whatever Shakespeare said.